Hey everyone, welcome back to Dev Parkour. In this video, I want to talk about a few of my favorite tools that I use actually probably on a day-to-day basis. Certainly for this channel, but most of them for my day-to-day work as well. And I really wanted to emphasize open source tools. I've been kind of on a free and open source software kick, FOSS, F-O-S-S, if you're not in the know. Uh, Not for any particular, philosophical reason. I don't have anything against, people making good software and then making money off of it, or, making good software and then, not making all or potentially any of the source available to the world. Maybe there are some algorithms that they want to keep secret, and I totally understand the rationale for commerce and commercial software, proprietary software. I don't have a philosophical issue with that. Though I do think that there are some things, that maybe some companies, maybe the right thing to do, like a good thing to do, might be to make some of their code open to the world, just so that everybody can benefit from them. Things like, in terms of cars, right? The emergency brake is a safety feature. And yes, you could patent that, and someone did. I forget which manufacturer did, but instead of enforcing the patent, they decided to specifically let everybody do it because it was a safety issue, and that's a perfectly valid way to go. And I believe, strongly in making the right things available to the world so that the world can be a better place. But anyway, I said I wasn't going to get too philosophical about this. I'll get off my soapbox and talk specifically about my favorite pieces of software. And the reason that I am going the open source route is because there is actually a wide variety of open source software packages that are very competitive with the paid software packages. So I really want to support those more independent developers because let's be honest, the large companies, they have a market and they are making more than enough money to continue to be making the software that they're making. Me not using it, not going to make an impact on their bottom lines. If it helps me, I guess feel good about myself to use open source software, then there's that as well. So let's get into it. So I have 4 pieces of software. Again, not all of them are free and open source, but most of them are actually. So the first piece of software is Kden Live, and that's a video editor. That's actually the video editor that I use to edit most of the videos on this channel. Actually, most might be a bit of a stretch. Anything where you see me doing a screen recording has been edited in Kden Live. Even that might be a stretch. Most of those videos. The videos of me talking, I just record on my iPhone and then upload them directly to YouTube. But any video that has multiple screens, multiple shots, where I've sped up any of the clips, all edited in Kden Live. Kden Live is a fantastic editor. It is free. It is legitimately free. I used to use a program called DaVinci Resolve. Yeah, I think that's what it was called. And that is a free version of a piece of software. They do have a paid version, that company, Blackmagic Software, I believe. They do have a paid version, but they also sell a bunch of hardware, and that's where most of their money comes from. So yes, the software that I was using was free, but that wasn't their main focus, and unfortunately it felt like it. The software was crashing on me left and right, and I've heard the same complaint about Kden Live, but Kden Live has been fantastic for me. It seems like it's stabilized a lot over the last several years. I've only been using it for most of this year, but it is a really good video editor, and I've really been impressed by it. The next piece of software on my list is called Krita, Krita, and it is an image editor. I was looking for an alternative to Photoshop, and actually more specifically an alternative to the GIMP, because the GNU image manipulation program is a piece of software that I have used for years and years and years, and it's definitely kind of the go-to Photoshop replacement in open source circles. But I think it's a terrible piece of software. I do not like it. I do not like the experience. And I really wanted something that felt cleaner, less clunky, a little more polished, you know, kind of the Photoshop experience without having to actually pay for Photoshop. And for me, that's what Krita is. I have heard some people who were looking more for like the photo editing aspects of Photoshop say that Krita is not as strong on that front. But for everything that I've been doing, Krita has been just fine. I use it for editing the thumbnails for some of the videos on this channel. I haven't done that a lot recently, but when I get back into creating thumbnails for videos, I'll be using Krita again. I also use it for, you know, general image editing. That's my go-to image editor. You know, anything you go to Photoshop or the GIMP for, I use Krita for. Next on my list is Visual Studio Code. This one might be kind of contentious. It is still free and open source, even though it's sponsored by a huge company that makes most of their money selling commercial proprietary software, right? Microsoft. VS Code is completely open source. VS Code is completely free. It doesn't matter how big your organization is, how much money your organization is making. VS Code is and always will be a free piece of software, both in terms of price and in terms of freedoms. So in my mind, Visual Studio Code is still the best editor in the world. I used to use Sublime Text. Sublime Text was fantastic. I actually I got into text editors kind of as TextMate was fading, so I rode the Sublime Text wave, had a license for that for a while. I guess technically still do, but it's for an older version. I used Atom when I think GitHub. I think GitHub wrote Atom. I used Atom for a while. It was never quite as good as Sublime Text. Then VS Code came on the scene, and I pretty much, once I adopted VS Code, I used it for, you know, until now. There is a new text editor that JetBrains is advertising. I think it's called Fleet. I am on the wait list for that, as I'm sure are, you know, millions of other developers. If I get access to Fleet, I'll definitely do a review of Fleet on the channel. JetBrains makes incredible software. Sometimes it does require a lot of resources, but that's not really JetBrains' fault. They're trying to do a lot of cool things for the developer experience, and unfortunately, some of them just require more resources on your computer than your computer actually has. So you know, I have in various occasions I have used things like ReSharper, and I have avoided things like ReSharper depending on the resources available to me on my computer. Never really got into Writer. I tried it for about a month, I think. I guess the free trial. I tried the free trial, and it was okay. It wasn't as good as VS Code or Visual Studio, but I am excited to see what Fleet brings to the table, and I'll definitely do a review of that if I get you know, accepted off the waiting list. And finally, the last piece of software, which is not a piece of open source software, that I wanted to mention is Asana. Asana. So it's a project management tool, it's a to-do list tool, but it's really powerful. I started using it back in the day when it was basically just a to-do list tool. And one of the things that was really nice about it was I could basically type things and it would do intelligent things in terms of the data model with what I typed. So I would type an item to do, I would hit enter, and then it would allow me to type another item to do. And then I think if you ended a particular item with a colon, that became like a section header. That was really cool. I really liked the idea of, and this was a web app, I really liked the idea of web apps feeling natural. So, you know, whatever your natural inclination to do at the keyboard or at the mouse, you know, whatever that was, whatever your natural inclination was, it would accept that as input and do something reasonable with it, as opposed to building the application in terms of a set of discrete screen elements and then making you learn how to manipulate them. And that's actually something that I really should do a longer video on, because I am not an interaction designer, but that is a particular aspect of interaction design that I'm really passionate about. And you may have seen that come in a little bit. I don't think I demoed it in Monday's video, but that was one of the things that was definitely present in that order form that I was working on. That unfortunately, again, it's still not done. I've been kind of busy the last couple days. That's something that is going to be difficult to do in React, and I just haven't gotten around to implementing quite yet. But Asana now has evolved into much more than just a to-do list app. It is a true project management tool. I stopped using it for a while because I think I worked other jobs and was using other tools. But now that I have this YouTube channel, I have a couple companies on the side, I have my personal life, I want to manage all my to-do list items kind of in one place. And Asana allows me to split up items by project and still have a cohesive to-do list. So I don't have to have, one to-do list per project or one to-do list per entity. I can have my personal to-do list, but I also have the project plans for, all the organizations and entities and the various projects that I'm doing for them. And I can link between the two pretty flawlessly. So for instance, with videos, I do have my content calendar in a project in Asana, and one of the cool things about that is that I can actually make that be a calendar. So I get a calendar view when I go to the Dev Parkour project, and I can plan out all my videos there. And there's a specific item on each day where I'm actually going to publish the video, and then anything I need to do for that video. Record some code or implement some feature, or record a voiceover, or go capture some B-roll or something like that. That becomes a subtask of that main task that shows up on the calendar. And each one of those I can schedule individually, and I can put them on my to-do list because that's something I'm going to do when I plan to do it, or when I need to have it done by. So it still is oriented around due dates. If I paid for Asana, I think I could add start dates and due dates, which is really, that's how I work. I like, there are some things that don't matter until a particular date, or I can't actually start them until a particular date, or even beyond that, until another task is done, right? There's some dependencies involved. That's in the paid version of Asana. I'm not paying for Asana. I'm just using the free version of Asana. But the free version of Asana is more than powerful enough for what I need it to do. The only downside, the only complaint that I have, is that since I'm using it just for myself, I really wish that I could just automatically assign everything to me. Because having multiple projects, it is possible that if I didn't assign something to myself, it would slip through the cracks because I wouldn't see it, because it wouldn't show up on my to-do list. But by and large, Asana is a really good tool. So those are the four tools that I use pretty regularly. I guess I really should include OBS Studio on this list too. That is free, open source. That's what I record most of all of the screen captures in. And that's a fantastic piece of software. There's a wealth of plugins. So if it doesn't do something that you want it to do, you can probably find a plugin to do it for you. It does handle things like chroma key, green screen, additional transitions. You can organize scenes. You can do some pretty clever stuff with it. It is the Open Broadcaster Studio, or open broadcasting software. It is designed to handle the sorts of things that you would expect from your favorite TV show or news program. You can do picture-in-picture. It's a really powerful piece of software. It doesn't use a whole lot of resources. It's really, really resource conscious. My fan does spin up and does get loud when I'm using it, but it's because it's transcoding video. But other than that, I don't feel any effects on my computer. I can use my computer pretty much at normal speed, which is really awesome. So check out OBS if you're not already using it. So that's pretty much everything that I use for the channel, and almost everything that I use on my in my work life. So I hope you liked this video. If you have experience with any of those pieces of software, or if you have other suggestions or things that you think work better, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear about it. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Click the notification bell so you'll get notified when videos get released. And like this video if you found it informative, interesting, the usual. Thanks for watching, and I will see you probably tomorrow with a new video.